Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of method function calls. Now we're going to look a little bit deeper how to send in data to a function, because as we have noticed, the scope blocks protect the data, but what if there's something that happens outside of the function that we want to include inside the function? We need that data there. So we're going to explore how we do that and kind of think of ways to really show the power of what these methods can do. So methods are great for expanding what is possible, right? So we want to say add more functionality to our simple calculator. So here I'm going to hold down Control and drag that. I did not want this though. I just wanted this button here. Doing Control drag pulled all the properties with it except the name. That's why it says add there. But what does the Control drag do for me? Well, now the function, if I go to the lightning bolt, it's using button calc click. And you might say, hey, wait a minute. The add button's using that function. Yes, that is the point. We want to run our code through this function for both buttons. And we're going to use the text inside of that button to direct our program flow. So the first thing is, how do I tell the program which button the user clicked? Well, there's this sender object that is provided to us by the library, the .NET library, Microsoft's Windows Forms here. So this event handler has this sender button here. I shouldn't say sender button, sender variable, the object. And inside of it is the button itself. So whatever initiated this call, that is what the sender is. So I am going to write some code so here I assume, that's what as is, I assume what the button is, and on the left hand side I'm saying use this button, variable name is BT, assign BT to a button, and convert sender to a button. Without the as, there's an error because I need to cast. Right now it's an object variable. So it's similar to the parentheses int and parentheses double. You can use as, the as keyword, to make a button from the sender. And that will give us the information we need to know which button the user clicked. Now let's do BT text, just like we do normally when we want to read what's in a text box, or the same way we would change the value of the button, right? This is the information I'm pulling. I'm pulling this, whether it's add or whether it's subtract. So now I want to send this data to update result label. So that's what putting this argument here into the function call is going to send it in. The red underline is telling us, hey, there is no function written this way that can take that. So we need to also define it here. We need to tell it what parameter to expect. So I say, you're expecting a string, and let's name that variable operation. So now this data, the button text data, is going to get sent in to update result label. Now we have a new variable. New data is available to us. This new variable, which is going to be the button text, whether it's add or subtract, is now available to us. That's great. We need to send this guy in again, actually, to calculate from text boxes, because that's where the math is happening. So it's not the cleanest code. You probably would rewrite it so that you're not sending in the same data to a method, but I wanted to show the different return types. So this will do, and it gets to show you'll get to see another use of the argument here and me putting the parameter in here. So now that data got put into two methods. So now this is still button text. We've named it operation in this method, and now we can use it. So I have a little switch case here. I'm just going to copy and paste it. So right here where we have final val 1 plus val 2, we no longer want to do that because we could also subtract. Right? We still want to create the final val variable. We still want to pull the variables out of the text box. But now we want to add or subtract. And as you can see, this would make it really easy to add a third button, divide. Once you see the code, you'll see why it would be really easy to add a third button and divide. Because we've used these methods, we've made it very easy to duplicate our code. This provides a lot of room for that duplication. We can reuse the code. Button text, because I'm pulling the button text out of whichever button is clicking it, I don't have to rewrite that code. I don't have to rewrite a button click event every single time, right? Now I just have one event. So let's look at the switch operation. So here we have switch coming in, and it can either say add or it could say subtract. Great. So now we have two different mathematical operations. If it's add, take val 1, val 2, assign it to final val because that's what's going to return back to the caller here, calculation. All the code is the same. We get to reuse that code. But now result will either add if we click the add button, or it'll do subtract if we could click the subtract button. And we could easily turn this into more. Divide, multiply, right? And then we just update this. And then all I would have to do for this to work is add those two buttons. So I'm holding down Control, and the only update I need to make is, I don't even need to update the name, but I'm going to. Divide. What I do need is to make sure the text here does not say add. I need it to say divide if it's going to do something different, because that's what my switch case is looking for. And then this one would need to say multiply. I'm going to update the name though. It's good practice. And now we have a very basic calculator that can do add, divide, subtract, multiply. Let's run this and see how our code runs. So we got 1 plus 2, add, okay. Subtract -1, as you would expect. Divide, 1/2, okay. 1 times 2 is 2, okay. Let's just double check with some more numbers. Have some fun with some math. 6, that's what we would expect. 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 4 times 2 is 8. So here we have a very simple calculator. And you saw how quickly I could add these new buttons. right away because I'm reusing this code. This is the power of methods. This is what makes methods very useful. All of these buttons use button calc click, but I'm able to differentiate what to do with the data based on the text. You could also use the name. You don't have to use text. I believe we could just use the name. I would need to update these to say probably button add, button subtract. But I'm using the text just for readability. But this is where the power comes in of organizing my code and writing it in a way that allows me to not have to put so much code in. It's a lot cleaner, it's a lot easier to understand. So that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Take care, bye.